C-17 crew has about 12,000 flying hours of them combined in flying various Air Force aircraft. Okay, we have a child at the med tent now visiting from his parents. He only speaks Japanese, so if your child, please head on over there with the security forces. And at the med tent, he said, what's that? Far left, just past the big couch. Well, folks, what you see before you is the KDC-135 Stratotanker on the takeoff. They hail from the 97th Aeromobility Wing at Altus Air Force Base, Oklahoma. We'll see them again as they prepare for the aerial. I'm a union man myself. Shaw and Associates and Myers Investment Group of Bears. There he is rolling now. We got him in sight. Set over 30 world records, including payload to altitude, time to climb, and the longest airdrop mission in history. Now you'll notice how quiet it is while passing by Show Center. This gives the operators a tactical advantage while flying low over hostile territory and allows for more suitable operations within the U.S. around heavily populated areas. Slow speed pass at a mere 120 knots. Notice the wing leading edge slats and the large powered lift flaps hanging down. These change the shape of the wing and are key to its low final approach speeds, enabling the aircraft to land and stop at a very, very short distance, much like aircraft of a smaller size. You'll see the wing is going to be much more curved with those flaps hanging on the back and the leading edge flaps and slats on the front. Power will be fairly high to go this slow. It actually creates a lot of drag, so a fair amount of power to fly slow. Sounds counterintuitive, but it's not. All equipment is loaded through that massive aft door, which can handle full-size tanks and palletized cargo. As the aircraft approach, you'll notice the upturned wingtips called winglets. These decrease drag on the aircraft and increase fuel economy. And to give you an idea of the scale of the size of the aircraft, those little winglets you see there, yeah, those are 9 feet tall. You can see the C-17 is extremely maneuverable, both high and low speeds, making it easy to operate in a tactical situation. Now here's some interesting facts about the Globemaster III. First off, as you said, the aircraft can fly anywhere in the world non-stop with an air-to-air refueling capability. Air Force personnel routinely fly 24-hour missions with a single crew. The most basic crew complement required to operate the C-17 is merely 2 pilots with 1 loadmaster. Now the C-17 will rejoin with our KC-135 aerial demonstration team a little higher. If you'll direct your eyes to the right, you'll see the 135 and the C-17 approaching the airfield in the refueling formation. Now this is normally accomplished up to 20,000 feet, but they're going to let you see this today at just 1,000 feet over runway 15 here at Beale. This allows the formation of the 135 to transfer fuel to the C-17 in midair and ultimately allows both aircraft to enhance the Air Force's capability to accomplish its primary mission of global reach and global power. Approach angle. The aircrew will now demonstrate the very short landing distance of the C-17. They'll use just about 1,000 feet of runway, that's it. And then they're going to back up under their own power. Watch as the tail drops and the loadmasters look out and guide the pilots as the plane will taxi backwards. They're going to land and jump right on those anti-skid brakes. You've seen here today are examples of those flown by the U.S. Air Force's operational air crews on a regular basis, as they provide the highly responsive and flexible command manages an inventory of 400 Stratotankers, of which the Air Force Reserve and Air National. You'll notice the boom tucked right back up on the edge of the tail. Litter and ambulatory patients using patient support pallets during aeromedical evacuations. Aircraft similar to a lot of DNA technicians added to the aeromedical missions, and with a full fuel load, the KC-135 can take off and land anywhere in the world. They maneuver in for their full stop. established in 1951. They began service with the ship's work. Tell us a little bit about the rig. I know we got a lot of jumpers in the crowd.
Right, so it's an RA-1. They are made to glide, so we can get out far away where the enemy doesn't detect us. The airplane lets us out, and we can move long distances under using the wind as power to get to our location.
And like we said, it's old technology made modern. I mean, back to the Wright brothers, wing warping, and that's what they're doing. They're changing the shape of these airfoils. That's what they are. They're aerodynamic airfoils. They're not just non-maneuverable chutes.
Yeah, these have changed since the old parachutes that I jumped. These are made more like the paraglide, so they're a longer gliding parachute. They've got about 20 miles per hour of forward speed, so they're going to land into the wind here shortly.
We've got Tech Sergeant Robert Gregory, the first one down in the pressure suit. He's a series specialist, military freefall jump master with 1,300 jumps, as well as a test parachutist. Also Staff Sergeant Wesley Ward, also in the pressure suit, a military freefall jump master and test parachute with 1,300 jumps. Finally, Cody Miller, Tech Sergeant Cody Miller, jumped from the RA-1 chute, military freefall jump master, 500 jumps. He is the first and only pararescue BJ to be selected as an Edwards test parachutist. Now once again, it's quiet out here. Let's let him hear you. We're happy to have him here. We create content, get ready for Ian Tony. Yes.
under which displayed our colors. Red for courage, white, Super Saber, Thunder Chief, Phantom.
afterburner, putting out 7,600 pounds of thrust in afterburner, 6,000 pounds of thrust without. Now the cool thing about this aircraft, the F-bomb, it can maintain and hold airspeed in an 8G turn. It'll only go to 0.93 Mach, subsonic aircraft, but it was definitely more maneuverable than the F-4 Phantom and the F-105, which focused on range and speed. As a result, MiGs from China and Vietnam shot down 28 U.S. aircraft during the Vietnam War. The North Vietnamese called the aircraft, named it after a bird, they called it the Silver Swallow, and the Egyptian pilots called it the Beryl. The aircraft produced under license in Poland, they call it the LIM-15, and this is actually one of the Polish ones, as we said earlier. China also built them under license. Their name for the aircraft was the Shenyang J4000, under license in other countries. Jason bringing it in low and fast. Now when Jason fires up that afterburner, it looks pretty good. He's known for doing a lot of twilight and night shows because that afterburner looks so good when it gets cranking. When Jason is in full afterburner, he's using a gallon of fuel every 2 seconds. I'm glad I'm not paying the fuel bill on that one. As we mentioned, these jets flown in Vietnam, obviously. Also, they flew in the Nigerian Civil War. Look at that sweep of the wing, matching the F-86 sweep. Of course, the Russians, the designers, stealing a lot of the good technology that we had for some of our early aircraft. Millimeter cannon and two 23mm cannons. It can also carry a small selection of underwing armaments. Just a few years ago. The rest of that engine, I thought if they get their hands on it, they get duplicated. They're using afterburner. See with the power and the maneuverability that Jason has on this aircraft, despite it being very, very lightly armored and not a whole lot of capability with those guns, very, very maneuverable, was able to work its way into being very much a valid threat to U.S. aircraft during Vietnam. VHF, Claude, we're going to come up on VHF. believe he's able to talk while doing that entire routine. Just parking it in the sky, thinks he's a Harrier jet. Full power in the engine. Everybody's screaming, shut the engine down. Stay yelling, everybody!
All right, let's give you a scraping run. I don't know if you can do that upside down, so let's give that a shot. The hill down here, I'm going to drop below it. Well, I don't know. I think you better try it one more time. We just got to get you lined up just right.
Take a look at that, folks. Bicycle landing gear. You don't find that. How do you keep the wing off the ground with a bicycle landing gear? Well, that's part of the skill of the whole thing. He's basically flying for the landing a motorcycle with a 104-foot wingspan. And I mentioned 104, see that never featured prominently in the U-2, 104-foot wingspan. The fuselage design came off of the F-104 from Lockheed, and 104 U-2s were built. Currently, roughly 30 of them flying still today, with 2 of them at NASA. to cross the threshold, and you'll see in the chase car, Bliss will be in the chase car with him. Or in the chase car, on the radio giving him the talk down. The goal is to hold the aircraft 1 to 2 feet off the ground and letting it come to a full stall and simultaneously touching that tail wheel and the main gear on the ground. Now he's on the ground. He's got to fly those wings, keep him off the ground, and that's exactly what he's doing. He'll roll out to this taxi right over down just past the Osprey that's holding short there. And we'll have the ground crew that's following the aircraft down the runway. They'll go over and install the outrigger wheels on the aircraft. And he'll taxi back to parking right down the parallel taxiway. You'll get a good look at this aircraft. I'm told that 7-1 made this aircraft with a microphone. You probably could use that. There you go. Give it a shot. See if that's working okay.
Hey, testing. I'm happy to be here too.
Well, good. Well, we've got this transformer, crazy, modern, unbelievable piece of technology right here in front. It's already airborne. The MV-22B Bravo Osprey. The Osprey aircraft, I just call it the Osprey. Tell us a little bit about the aircraft, Ed.
Yeah, the Osprey revolutionized what aviation is becoming right now and into the future, with multiple branches making similar design model changes for their future aircraft. It combines the versatility of a helicopter to be able to land and take off from just about anywhere with the speed and range of an airplane, traveling up to 280 knots, which is a bit over 300 miles an hour.
So it was derived off of a prototype airline. Obviously, a number of improvements on the aircraft that the Marine Corps has invested in, making it a great aircraft for the Corps. The Osprey's got a very unique ability to fold its rotor blades and the entire wing over the aircraft to save space. When they fold it up, it goes from 85 feet wide to just 18.5 feet wide.
Training with that, we go to the TH-57. The equivalent would be the Bell 206 helicopter. And then finally, we finish off with the T-44 Beechcraft King Air for our multi-engine land training. Only after that 4th airframe do we actually get to even touch an Osprey.
That's a lot of training. So how long from start till wings for you?
Oh, I don't know, anywhere between like 2 and 5 years. I don't even remember at this point.
Hey, we've got jumpers out there going on. And I've also got Corey Christensen back over here, and he can tell us a little about some of the jump stuff going on. Corey, you want to take the mic and give us a little update on that?
Yeah, so right now we just had the plane go by, the jump master spotted and released his jumpers. The unique thing about this parachute is it is actually tethered to the aircraft. So as it flies by, that tether is pulled and the parachute comes out as they're dropping away from the parachute or from the airplane. Currently, they're on the round parachutes, which are different from our square parachutes in the fact that they're coming down about 12 miles per hour. So they come down a lot faster, and they are made to essentially get down to the ground fast so they can't be shot out of the sky.
Corey, if the people made some noise here with the jumpers here?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Bring the noise level up, folks. We'll turn everything down. Let them hear you.
So these are the Air Force Special Op guys. There's Sears, there's Pararescue. I'm not sure who else is up there with them. On the ground, we got the DZ that keeps them safe and keeps the wind in the right direction so they can safely land and slow down their parachute.
Yeah, Beale's got their own series shop: survival, evasion, rescue, and escape. One of our own guys is up there, Staff Sergeant Nathaniel Carbial. We call him Carbs. So it's good to have one of our own there jumping with the parachute test squadron from Edwards.
Yeah, so here shortly you'll see the #1 guy coming down. He's going to do a PLF, which is called a parachute landing fall. It's designed to lessen the impact of the ground coming up at you.
So how fast do you guys are coming down? It doesn't look too big, maybe 10 feet per second, 8?
It all depends on the size of the jumper. In general, round parachutes are supposed to be about 12 miles per hour to straight down. You'll see these parachutes are different from the regular Army version, where they actually have handles and they can flare them and soften the land as well.
Now, can they do much in the way of steering, or is it pretty limited on these chutes?
No, these are highly maneuverable, a lot more.
High speed, low pass right now, going down at 500 VHL, about 260 knots.
Well, look at the propeller blades. They're below the belly of the aircraft. You can't land it in that configuration safely. Those are some big blades on that thing.
They are What you're about to see here is demonstrating the ability of the Osprey is us starting the transition up into our conversion mode, VTOL mode. And as they loop back around here, you should expect them to come into a 0-knot hover right around center of the field.
Get Jethro Wave coming by show center. Probably this week will be his last time flying an air show. Maybe the last flight for 1071 for a while also. Talking about it.
At this point, they're in what's called conversion mode, so 6 degrees backwards from the aircraft itself.
And I guess with the fly-by-wire stuff, the computer will actually prevent you from overshooting a limit, basically. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And as you're moving the nacelles, it changes the way all the control surfaces act when you put in the control inputs to make sure that when you're in helicopter mode, the plane does helicopter things, and when it's in airplane mode, it does airplane things.
That is just bizarre. Now, Ospreys can be found at which Marine Corps bases nowadays?
So they're scattered throughout a lot of the Marine Corps air stations on the West Coast. They're located at the Marine Corps Air Station Miramar, San Diego. On the East Coast, they're located at MCAS Beale River, which is in North Carolina. You can also find Osprey squadrons out in Hawaii, as well as in Japan, Okinawa.
Backing it up, they've got the crew deck loading ramp in the back. Open up, I guess.
They provide us really critical situational awareness of everything going on around us, beneath us, behind us, to the side, because we can only see forward. They're also super essential to enable some of our unique mission sets, like hoist, fast rope, and external load carrier.
This squadron, ladies and gentlemen, BMM-362, as Captain Wade was saying, they got a very long proud history starting out in Southern California at the Marine Corps Air Station Santa Ana. Actually, the department right here, show center, showing off the flight control system on this aircraft, making it look so easy.
What you're about to see next is what we like to call an Osprey bow after this 360-degree turn.
Now, to do this turn, they're just giving it level, they're putting in the rudder, the pedal, they're putting in right pedal to turn the aircraft?
They are just putting in right pedal. So right now in helicopter mode, the rudders work like they would in a helicopter. However, they don't do the same thing when your nacelles are down flying like an airplane.
There's the pilots giving us a little bow. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? How about a round of applause for your United States Marines? Great chance to head over. The Marines were kind enough to send us 2 aircraft. You wanted to fly. We have one over in the static area. You go get an up-close look at this frontline combat aircraft.
Plus, you can buy some sweet merchandise you can't find anywhere else.
Well, of course. Now notice they're rotating the nacelles to about 60 degrees, it looks like, 60, 70 degrees. Adds the power to it, and short takeoff, he's airborne in about, 200 feet. I don't know, that's a pretty short takeoff.
About as short as you can get. That's actually a technique that's also can be utilized on the various ships that the V-22 can get deployed on too.
To accelerate the aircraft to its takeoff speed of 130 miles an hour. And no, that's not the Rhino. executing a max performance climb on takeoff. Actively on display. If you will take a look to your right, you'll slide, ladies and gentlemen. A great look at the most modern aircraft from 80 years ago and how it stacks up to one of the most modern jet aircraft. The production line was shut down. It was actually built for the French Navy, and this aircraft fought in the Indochina War of 1953, the Suez Canal War of 56,